Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. I'm the Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy,
Gene Shalit.
Oh, good one. That's so good.
That guy has got a great mustache beard thing going. Oh, by the way, I shaved my beard.
What?
Well, the thing is, and my hair is going soon too, because
What?
dude, I'm shedding everywhere, and it's coming out. I'm not. My hair is not receding. There's no balding spot. There's nothing. It's just maybe it just got too long and it's just dying, dead, end of life, whatever. But it's all over the place. It's on the desk. It's all over my clothes. It's on the floor. So I'm just like, I can't deal with it anymore. It will grow back, provided it's not really, I'm not really losing my hair, but it's coming out. It was just going everywhere. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. And I just grabbed the buzzer one night and I just
just did it.
The beard went right off. And I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Why did I do that? But then I'm like, well, now I can use my desk without having to flick off a hair every once in a while, It's just, it's a lot better for me, but I can grow hair like nobody's business, so it'll be back soon.
I'm the Duke, and he is Impulsive Larry, also known as Angry Larry, and we're going to talk about this week in wrestling, because this is the game in Wrestling Connection, and you're watching it on Twitch, so that's the game part. That's probably all we're going to get to gaming wise this week.
I do have a tournament I'll plug later on in the episode, but we'll start. We can start with Payback and
let's do it.
AKA let's find more reasons to make people sympathetic to Roman Reigns. Because
it didn't come across that way to me. It came across as, holy crap, they actually built a new guy and let him be the guy that they were building. That's great.
But then what's eventually going to happen is the guy who got beat is going to overcome these odds of getting beat up. And that's all, and it's an unfortunate circumstance if it wasn't meant that way. But that's all I'm thinking when I see it, because sure, Braun Strowman won, and it gave me a little bit of a reaction when he won. Like, holy crap, they really actually let Roman Reigns lose, even though Roman Reigns loses from time to time. And then out come the steel steps, and out comes, the attack after the match. And I'm just like, now it's just, we're going to beat up Roman Reigns, and then he's going to have redemption somewhere down the line and overcome this adversity. That's going to be his new story. It's just a way to have him have a story without the title involved. Overcoming all odds, and Braun Strowman taking it to him as many ways as he can. He'll finally win in the end, and then everyone will be like, hey, look, Roman did it. Well, no, they won't be saying that, but that's what they want you to say. But I mean, I can see how it's just a bad situation. If Roman Reigns was going to lose, it almost was inevitably going to be, hey, either Roman wins again or Roman loses, but they made him look strong. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but I still liked how it came out, and I liked how brutal it was, and they did the blood capsule in the mouth, which was nice to see that they actually they cared enough to put some color in the match and stuff like that. So I don't know. I get it. I get where you're coming from, because that's how I was going into the match. But I guess the shock factor of Strowman actually coming out on top, that regardless of all the bandages and all the other junk, I don't know. I think Roman has really great matches, period, regardless of the stupid character flaw that they've built into him.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, he's highly capable of being a wrestler in his own right without the whole he's got to be the guy thing going on. And that's
sure.
I don't know how you get away from that now, because it's been so many months and years of that happening that, again, if he wins, it's going to be same old, same old. If he loses, it's going to be like, oh, he's the new John Cena. He's just putting somebody over for his own benefit later on, kind of thing.
It's just there's one way to do it, and it's the same way they could have done it with Cena, but they just refuse to do it. It's, this guy is our guy. He's our top baby face, even in this world where we blur the lines between what a baby face and a heel is, he's our top baby face. We're going to keep treating him as our top baby face, working from underneath all the time. And it's just the exact, and again, overcoming all the odds and blah, blah, blah. This, it's the exact same thing. They didn't learn their lesson from Cena. And I guess they did. It's one of those things. It's like they didn't learn their lesson, but Cena's becoming a megastar outside of the ring, which is good for them because it, they think it's good for them because they think it puts more eyes on them, but it doesn't really. As you can see from the TV ratings, it doesn't draw people to wrestling. It just makes these specific people bigger outside of wrestling. So eventually Roman will get some sort of movie part and people will be like, whoa, who's this guy? It's not going to draw people to wrestling. It's just going to draw people to, quote unquote, the guy. So anyway, whatever. It's wrestling. They're putting out more and more wrestling content as wrestling becomes more and more niche. So it's this strange, weird, there's all these dichotomies happening with wrestling right now. But all that being said, that's the philosophical side of Duke. That's the frosted side of Duke. Well, that's not the frosted side. That's the wheat side of Duke. But the frosted side really enjoyed Payback for a lot of reasons. And one of them is, kind of your opening complaint. But I guess my expectation was that's what was coming out of it. And so it was nice to see them detour it long enough to actually make Braun even more of a monster. So, yeah. But I liked a lot of other stuff at Payback too, which Payback tends to overproduce. At least it has for several years now, in my opinion.
Trivia question for you.
Go.
Since the brand split, without regarding the rare promotion match that they've had for, I guess, the Intercontinental title, U.S. title, whatever it was, or Orton versus Lesnar, who is the only person from another brand to cross over and interfere in the other brand's match?
Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal. Imagine that.
I really like it.
I love it, and I thought it was great. I could have really, it's just a 2-hour show on its own. I could have really done without the first part of the House of Horrors match just because it's so nonsensical, Yes.
Because
it would be like Jordan and Bird playing
California.
Jordan and Bird playing one-on-one on a parking lot. And then like the second half of the match we'll just bring over the score and we'll actually play in the Boston Garden.
It's Jordan and Bird playing one-on-one in the parking lot at night. And then it's a 2 p.m. game.
Yeah.
And
that's true. That's right. It was it's a 3-hour time difference.
Yeah. It's like 5:00 in the afternoon in California, and it's pitch black dark at the House of Horrors. So apparently, there wasn't just a limo ride. There was also a, Concorde jet flight as well that we missed.
As soon as JoJo
happened during that. That's what happened during that match. The other match.
I thought the House of Horrors match was actually going to be just inside of a ring, like a crazy cage, maybe weapons hanging from it, or projections.
I originally thought it was. I originally thought it was just going to be the Ambrose Asylum rebranded. That's what I originally
thought. With a projector displaying bugs on the ring like every 5 minutes or something like that. Like honestly, I really thought it was going to be, and I wouldn't have been that upset about it. But as soon as she said the match will start. And then the winner will have to come to the ring. It's like, well, okay. So we just buried Randy Orton in a refrigerator, but obviously he's coming back to the ring because that's where the match is going to end. So I don't know. It's just stupid. But it was actually pretty cool to see Jinder Mahal show up and him in the Bollywood Boy. I don't like them changing their names to the Bollywood Boys, by the way.
I don't either.
And we're going to get more name changing shenanigans later on in the episode as well.
Yeah,
because we know him as Harvin Gerv Sira, or maybe we don't know him if I can't remember the names.
No, you got it. 100% got it right on it.
But now they're the Singh boys and
the Singh brothers, and they actually have different first names as well, by the way.
Yeah, but they're
because they said them, and I don't remember them at this point.
It's probably something like Ali and Davari Singh. Just knowing how WWE likes to name, but with a Y.
I think it was that. It was like very, very like. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if this offends anyone. Very standard Indian name.
Yeah,
that's how it came across. So
that's how you have to do it in the global market, especially when you're endorsing your debut in India. You got to create these guys that are just terrible people. Be like, here you go, your country's represented. Get us on TV.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
They're the bad guys.
They're the bad guys.
Sense.
What was your favorite match of the night?
I got to be honest. I thought Bliss and Bayley was their typical chemistry. I mean, they're like, even when Bliss was just super green, for some reason, those two have always had really good chemistry. I mean, I think, and I'm pretty sure Bliss's last match as the Sparkle Queen was against Bayley. I'm pretty sure that was like, after that, she snapped and became the mean girl to be the manager for Blake and Murphy, and then started doing matches of her own where they actually changed the names of her moves and stuff like that. So I was pretty impressed with that match. That would have probably been my favorite match of the night, I would say. Yeah.
Of all the women on the main roster, both sides of the equation, currently active, we'll say currently active and not managers, valets, or anything. Just active wrestlers currently there on weekly programming as of right now. How many of them were never a part of NXT at all?
Was Tamina?
I believe she had a match, yes.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean, oh no. I was about to say Mickey, but no, she had the match with Asuka.
The answer is, I believe, to be 0 of them. Because Alicia Fox was involved, and of course we know the 4 horsewomen were heavily there. Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Nia Jax.
And Mickey, it was her way back in.
And Summer Rae. Obviously, Paige was the first champion, if we want to do that. Just even, there was one other one, but Natalya. Even Natalya was a part of the championship tournament when Paige
major part.
Yeah. So I think Alicia and I think maybe even Tamina were part of the championship tournament as well. But Tamina had a match. Naomi is the only one I cannot say for certain had a match.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like she did, because there was a time where Brodus Clay was brought in and worked for a while when they did the cheerleader gimmick, and she was definitely there for that. So I have to double check that. But it was certainly a good shock. Except for the fact that when you brought it up, it's like an obvious, like, well, first time ever.
After the show, I saw that tweet where someone was talking about she was going to make history as being the first ever SmackDown and Raw Women's Champion. I'm like, oh, yeah, they can't pass up a chance to say first ever, ever. They always have to say first ever. So it was pretty obvious.
And I also forgot to include last week, a reason why Alexa Bliss could have won is because they're in Bayley's hometown. And WWE doesn't like hometown stuff.
Yeah,
especially if it's the face, even though Naomi won the championship in her hometown. That's why whenever it's like in their hometown, I'm always quick to go the other way. It's like, well, they don't care. Bret Hart can lose in Canada.
But talk about the heat for Bliss. I mean, that was fantastic. That was great.
It was really good.
It was great.
Yeah.
And it was a good match. I thought everything about that was booked properly, and especially doing it in Bayley's hometown and having a defined heel win it off of Bayley. I thought that. I mean, can you book that any more perfectly? I mean, really. I mean, just for a traditional booking, can it be any better than that? In my opinion, no.
So one of the things I sort of miss from wrestling, but I kind of also is like very critical of it when it happens as well, is screw job type endings and stuff like that. And we saw basically 2 of them on Payback, with Austin Aries winning by disqualification after Neville attacked the referee.
Yep.
Which is good. I mean, listen, we saw Asuka do it at NXT, but she didn't get disqualified. So there hasn't been that many screw job finishes. Owens probably had a couple, when he had the Universal title, but I think they were more like.
I mean, all of his were really.
But he got the win in the end. He didn't really just get himself disqualified.
I get you. Like he didn't lose and then retain. Yeah, I get you.
He didn't intentionally get himself disqualified. So it was kind of refreshing to see Neville do that, and it leads me to believe that, like I said, I believe in the preview show that Aries and Neville are probably going to have a third match blow off where Aries finally wins. The other thing I liked was it wouldn't say out of nowhere, especially since I gave it my heel turn of the night kind of plug last week. Sheamus and Cesaro. I mean, it was building up to it, and it was, it wouldn't be that far of a stretch if it happened or didn't happen, I guess. But I really liked the way it was done. Like, once they shook hands, I was kind of pissed off that it didn't happen. And then, here comes Cesaro, and thankfully it was
leading
Cesaro.
the charge, Cesaro. Yeah, that was smart. Yeah. That was very smart. Yep.
And now I just listen. I mean, it's like the opposite reaction. I'm becoming more and more Sheamus and Cesaro fan as they stopped the bickering and started being more of a cohesive unit. And now that they turned and flipped to the heel side of things, like, I'm just fully on board. I mean, Cesaro as a face is somebody that I can agree with can't draw, stuff like that. People can get behind him, but I think it's behind him in a way of like a pseudo fan favorite. But yet if they push him out in front, then he doesn't really get that kind of, he doesn't invoke that response from the crowd or anybody else. And I think Sheamus fits that mold too. When he was a good guy, like, he could be champion, but then the crowd just doesn't take to it, kind of thing. Well, both these guys as bad guys, then you kind of get like a love to hate him kind of thing, especially if you don't like him to begin with, and then true fans would be like they'd be over with their true fans as well in this gimmick. So I think it kind of works. It's kind of like one of those things where, fans may cheer it, but it might work overall as well. And, Raw seems to be like pimping their tag team division. I think there's going to be a turmoil match this Monday.
Yes.
So they seem to be out in front of the tag team. Like well, it's not WrestleMania season or the road to WrestleMania, so we don't have to ignore that tag teams exist right now. So it's gonna be
good point.
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice for them to do something. And I'm kind of interested in see where they're going with it. But do you know what happened with the Hardy Boys, or more so to speak, with the Owl? TNA.
Oh no.
TNA has filed for trademark rights for everything, including the broken gimmick. Just let it go. Let it go.
How can they do it? That doesn't even make sense.
Let it go. Like, what are you even going to use it on?
Stop telling us you're trying to make wrestling better, and you're doing things publicly to make wrestling worse. Like I don't get that. I don't get that. It's just like this. It's the same story, different day, different owner. So anyway, sorry,
Crazy Steve has left the company, by the way, from Decay with Abyss and Rosemary.
Okay,
so he's out there to take independent bookings, I guess. So if you're looking to hire Crazy Steve, probably crazysteve@AOL.com. You can get a hold of him.
Could very well be.
Listen, if it's not, I'm taking it tonight. And then we had Chris Jericho winning the title, and it's something I kind of said on the aside, like, well, why can't he win? Like, he was supposed to be gone a month ago. Why can't he win? Yeah. And sure enough, he won, but then we saw what happened.
Yeah, then they just did the trade, the win trade, and made it more brutal on TV, so that to be fair, it's smart booking.
Yeah, we'll get
there. It makes you have a serious villain, which was missing on SmackDown, because AJ has kind of gone tweener more toward face now.
Well, they can't get fans to hate AJ Styles.
Ever.
Everything he does is in the fans' mind, so he can just be a guy who just doesn't care and gets reaction. And
he can just be cocky. He can be the cocky face. That's that's basically what he is now. So.
Yeah. And my mistake last week is, for some reason, I thought The Miz was fighting Finn Balor. I never really even noticed that it was just Miz TV. So
yeah, I thought it was a match too for some reason. So
I really, and I have to go look at the graphic again. I don't think the match even had a Miz TV logo on it. If it did, I just totally missed it and overlooked it. But it just looked like every other match where they have one guy, the other guy, and a Payback logo, and maybe a Snickers logo, whatever it was sponsored by, in the middle, and that was really it. But your overall grade on Payback?
I'd give it an A- personally. I never, like, this year I went into Payback expecting it to be extremely good because it keeps blowing my mind for the past couple of years. I mean, really all the way back to, once again, one of my favorite matches, Jericho and Punk in 2013. So, I mean, it just always overperforms in my opinion, and even with it being exclusive to a certain brand, it still did. It still did. So
I'm gonna give it a B-. We had a couple title change shocks happening. There was no main title on it, which again just blows my mind how they can have champions that are never ever on a card or on TV shows. I hate that. But it also featured the House of Horrors match, and
that does bring it down a little bit.
I really have to deduct
bringing it down.
And the match,
bringing it down into the B territory. Now that you say that.
And the match we completely never even, I guess, even wanted to talk about. And not to say it was bad or anything, but it just was. And that was Seth Rollins beating Samoa Joe.
But who cares? It didn't mean anything.
It was just a match. And you know, it just, I don't, and it doesn't even look like it's over. But we'll transition over to Raw now.
Sure.
To talk about things like that. And the one thing I did like about Raw is how it took, I wouldn't say the winning components of Payback, because The Miz and you know, Balor were obviously not in a wrestling match. But I did like the number one contender for the Intercontinental titleship match. And again, they are putting more of a stress and more of a demand and more of an importance on these minor titles than they are the major titles. And it's just a long running meme on this show, I guess, or trope. They're just on the wrong tier of wrestler, these titles.
Well, I mean, it just set up the they've already, it's like I said, what was it, last week or the week before, they've already set up what the big title match is going to be. They've already told us coming out of WrestleMania that it's going to be Roman versus Brock. They've already told us that. And people are going to be extremely disappointed when the build for that starts, because it's just going to be out of nowhere for no rhyme or reason. But they already told us, Paul Heyman already told us that that's what the match is going to be. And they even had Braun Strowman come out and interrupt and say, hey, yeah, that's what the match is going to be. That's essentially what he said. And so it's like, everyone's going to be disappointed, but they've already called the shot, and everything else, everybody has to fight for the Intercontinental Championship, because the Universal Championship is already locked up with Roman versus Brock. And again, I keep repeating myself, everyone will be disappointed in that, but they've already told us that's where they're going. And they think that means it's okay, but everyone's still going to be disappointed.
And in the setup of the Intercontinental Championship match, I liked how Dean Ambrose was the catalyst of it, but it kind of seemed like the U.S. title match, how they did that number one contender match and set up for that, like almost all over again. The only difference is Dean Ambrose was able to do something in his wheelhouse with the microphone. He replaced Charlie during one of the interviews. I don't think it was Dasha. I think it was Charlie. Where all of a sudden it was just him with the microphone after she started the interview.
Yeah.
And then he interviewed pretty much everyone else after that. I like when he does stuff like that. It's good for, like, again, it's the only bit of comedy you kind of get anymore. And it's good. I do like the finish where The Miz won, basically because Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt, like they put three feuds in one.
Yeah, they set up three significant feuds all in one match. It was okay. I haven't said this for weeks upon weeks, and I've noticed a trend recently, and this calls back to it like brilliantly. And it's that all these multi-person matches recently, except when it gets over like 5 people, when it gets to like 6 and beyond, well, really 5 and beyond, it gets a little messy, as you expect with multi-person matches of that size. But everything that's been like a fatal 4-way or triple threat in recent months, and I would say dating back to the ladies title match in NXT with Asuka and Nikki Cross. What's that?
What about the Universal title match where Kevin Owens won?
Yeah, you could even go back to that. Yeah, that was booked. Well, that was booked kind of properly, except that it like the main story coming out of that was what's going to happen between Triple H and Seth Rollins, and they just put it on cooldown for months. Yeah. So, but that still in and of itself, that was booked really well. The match itself was booked really well. There was just no follow-up. The follow-up was just dead for months on that. But you're right, the match was good. But yeah, pretty much ever since that match, all these multi-person matches for titles or not, whether it's titles or contenderships or whatever, have been booked so well. And they've gotten to the point where now not only is the match itself booked well, but they build 3 feuds within a 20-minute match and make it like significant and meaningful and just say, all right, here's where we're going. And it's great. It's great. And it's easy to jump on board because it all works. It all makes sense. It's really good.
And excluding the time for the women on future Raws, they can take up 70% of the show just based on these 3 feuds. They're that significant.
Yeah. I mean, they are your top 6 guys. Period. They're the top 6 guys except for Brock and Roman. Brock, Roman, and Strowman. So, I mean, you really do have 9 top guys on that show if you count the part-timer, the untouchable, and the big monster. These are your other. These are your. I mean, these are the guys carrying the show. These 6 guys. So yeah, it's a big deal. It's well booked, and hopefully they keep it going. I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with Miz. I mean, come on, you just like. Nothing is going to fall flat with Miz on one side of it, in my opinion.
If you don't like the stuff Miz has been doing for the last 1.5 to 2 years, then you hate the Miz, and it works.
Yeah,
Yeah. You know what I mean?
And if it doesn't work for you, then you probably just don't like wrestling.
You want to talk about Roman Reigns when he's getting booed doing the eating out of my palm of my hand. I mean, Miz should be doing that every time he gets booed because that's exactly like he's really one of the better psychological, not in ring wrestling, but psychological on the mic kind of wrestlers where, like, legit or not, you're getting the response that the company wants you to get from him, and he's delivering on the promos. So you're either eating it up or you're hating it, which is basically the point of the promo. So it's either way, it's working.
He's winning. He's winning. Yeah.
WWE is doing right in that department. Because of it.
And then what's great about The Miz is that outside the ring, he doesn't screw up on social media. He doesn't destroy his character on social media. He's sort of in that middle ground, but he still, he'll put out some obnoxious stuff from time to time just to keep his character basically intact, even with social media. But then outside of social media, outside the ring, outside of social media, he is John Cena. He's the guy who shows up for every single event that there is. Like, he's the workhorse in the company as far as talent showing up for whatever they need. And so, I mean, he is probably the most complete superstar there is in WWE. And, he just never gets enough credit. And so I guess that's why I felt like I had to mention it. But anyway, yeah,
no, absolutely. We love the Miz on this show.
We are misfits at this point. We really are.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, misfits.
Let's switch on over to the other side of the main roster here and talk
We're going
about,
blue.
Yeah, let's talk about Big Blue and the stuff that went on there. So Jericho wins the title at Payback. Follow up to SmackDown. Owens defeats Jericho. Owens takes out Jericho. So Jericho is now, I would say officially now, I will say he's off TV and done while he goes on tour with his band.
And as of Wednesday, or since Wednesday, Fozzie's first single of the new album, Judas, has hit the top of the iTunes charts in the US, the UK, Australia, all the major markets.
And I feel like that happened last time as well. Both times they were included as an official theme song to a WWE event. The one was with M Shadows of Avenged Sevenfold, and then this one is just one of the themes
just
to
straight
NXT.
Fozzy.
What's that?
And this one's just straight Fozzy.
Right, and the theme for NXT TakeOver Chicago is what it is. So it explains his absence, but again, I like the fact that they had him win because all the smart fans knew that Jericho was going, so there was no chance he could win. And then
it was good.
And Owens is already on SmackDown, so Jericho's not going to win and go to Smack. So it just goes to show you that they do put these things out there from time to time, whether you like them or whether you don't like them. And so they're keeping the anything can happen feel to events when things like that happen, like Joe winning the title against Finn Balor on a house show.
Right?
It's like anything can happen.
I'm still waiting for something like that to happen on the main roster.
They should. Listen, there's no reason they can't with, like in the old territory days, tag teams flip-flopping the titles on a weekend.
Especially since some of the match quality is so much better on live events because they don't have to worry about commercial breaks and all the stupidity of TV.
And it's a way not to have a feud. Have two teams fighting that don't have a feud, all of a sudden have a reason to have a feud because this team took the titles from them on a house show. The other team got pissed off, took it back the next day, and now now they're entrenched in this feud. We got footage of it, and then here you go.
It's easy story. Yeah, it's easy story.
It's an easy story, and it's not so much like this team just had enough of this team and attacked them. It's like a little bit original, and there's no reason why they couldn't do stuff like that. But how are you? I ask you this every week, but
okay.
How are you feeling like the build up to Nakamura is going to be at Backlash? And like that's the first match we get from him.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of what happened in NXT as well. It's weird to me that he's basically the headliner of Backlash. I mean, he's the branding of Backlash.
Well, Eva Marie was the branding of Fastlane last year.
Fair enough, but
he's the model of the poster.
Yeah, but
they have the whole thing with him, the music.
Yeah, it was really strange to see that. Like, it was cool and it was different. I mean, it definitely was a different type of vignette for and sort of bumper for a show. So it was refreshing in a way, but at the same time, it was sort of like, man, this guy hasn't even wrestled yet. And I thought it was funny how they had, like, that's kind of what they do with Dolph a lot of times. He's sort of like the voice of Smarks. Like his promos, especially when he's on the heel side, his promos are what the internet is saying about things. Just like, this guy hasn't even had a match yet, and you've got him as the poster boy for Backlash. I thought that was actually pretty good writing. But
I'm hoping that match does something to solidify Dolph Ziggler in people's minds again, because it's like one of those things where Dolph needed to go heel to just get a little bit of life back into him. He had a better
edge.
What's that?
A little more edge.
He had a better character as a heel when he was the show off and stuff like that. But then since going heel, he's just like disappeared. He did that one thing with that I remember with Apollo Crews and Kalisto, and then he did the thing with Jerry Lawler, and then I just can't name anything else he's done.
Well, and they kind of killed the Jerry Lawler thing. Like you thought for sure the reason for Lawler on commentary during the Rumble was to get involved with Dolph, and maybe they just they didn't have time to do it, and so they called an audible on it. But it's just like, it felt like the entire purpose of the Lawler thing, and then him being on the desk for the Rumble, was for he and Dolph to have some sort of altercation, and they did nothing.
No, they did nothing. And in fact, I wasn't even thinking about it. So if it happened, that would have been awesome.
Yeah,
but,
it totally made sense. But maybe it got cut because of time or something like that. So I don't know. It's really strange. But then since then, you're right. Where has Dolph been? Like, he just disappeared. So at least this puts him back on the map in some way already.
And to be fair, SmackDown hasn't had a lot of pay-per-views this year.
True.
You know, they've had a lot of Raw pay-per-view, a couple of Raw pay-per-views, and a bunch of combined pay-per-views. I think there was only one Elimination Chamber.
Raw, yeah. Well, WrestleMania.
One that was SmackDown only.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
In 5 months, you know.
Right.
I feel like WWE missed the opportunity here to do another expect the unexpected kind of thing with Becky Lynch actually joining the welcoming committee and tipping the scales of 4 heel women's wrestlers and 2 babyface women's wrestlers by moving Charlotte over to one side, just doing the double swerve. I really expected. I was really hoping that would happen, just again to mix things up. Like we said back when it was just, it's still 6 women in the division, but things are kind of stale. The good girls have been the good girls, the bad girls have been the bad girls ever since the start, more or less. And there hasn't been much of a variety to it, other than how many women can we throw in one match and who's holding the championship belt, and Nikki leaves and Mickie James arrives, kind of stuff. What did you feel like? I know you're a Becky Lynch fan. Did you want her to turn on Naomi there and join the welcoming committee, or were you happy with the whole fake swerve?
Well, I'll try to keep it short. I thought it was like, I was actually saying, wow, are they going to do this? Is this how they're going to do it? I mean, I'm okay. Like, I was literally saying this out loud. I said, are they going to do this? I'm okay if they do, because I've been calling it. It seems like she's been headed that way. I'm okay with it. But is this how they're going to do it? That's interesting. And then once I saw her go for Ellsworth, I'm like, oh, no. I don't know how this is going to change.
Once she did the first hug, I'm like, it's not happening.
Well, I just... As soon as she went for Ellsworth, I'm like, she's gonna Bexplex him or do the T-bone or whatever. Here it comes. But then she did the actual smart thing, which normally Becky is the one that everybody gets everything over on her, but she pulled off everything she could pull off, being 1 versus 4, with throwing Ellsworth at Tamina. Get rid of the biggest threat you can. That made sense. Like, it was a very tactical attack by her. So I liked how that was done. Just as we were sitting here, and as you were leading me into that, I was trying to think, why did they not just have her go? Because they've kind of been teasing it with her changing her look dramatically and the different things that they've done, and it sort of was one of the threads for the whole episode. And I realized, it's because even though they were starting, like, you could hear the crowd turning toward Charlotte, and of course people cheered Charlotte when she showed up at SmackDown, but she got heat back, just like she's just an expert at these days. But the crowd was actually turning her way, but they're not there fully yet. And I think that's the answer to why not have Becky turn yet, even though I like it. I'm with you that it would be something different for it to not just be 3-on-3, all the 3 good, 3 bad all the time.
Well, Ellsworth is also in the women's division, so it's kind of like 4-on-3. But if you had, if you want to talk about Nikki Bella, it's 4-on-4 still. But but
she's gone. So, but yeah, it's Yeah, it kind of felt like it would have worked, but at the same time, that doesn't help Charlotte, because having Charlotte, that doesn't help Charlotte fully transition to being, maybe she's the cocky baby face, she's the female AJ, because she's obviously these days the most talented person in the ring, or the most sought after person in the ring in the division, in my opinion. The biggest money draw, I would say. And her going full, like, serious, strong baby face isn't there yet. And so even if she's cocky baby face, I don't think that works with Becky as a heel. As a freshly turned heel, because everyone's still going to be cheering for Becky.
I think it could have worked in a double turn situation. Where
I think you're right, but I think it makes sense. I think they played it safe. How about that?
That's probably one of the arguments against the company for however many years, is they do too much to play safe. And listen, they've been putting things on a limb, and they've been changing things up here and there, and a lot within the last collective year, for sure. I just thought it was, I just thought the build up for it was like, it's never going to happen. And then, like, the thought of, like you said, are they doing this, would have made it work if it did happen, rather than like 100%, like, it's never going to happen. It doesn't happen, hey,
yeah, fair enough.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Everything else on SmackDown, and I'm looking at the lineup, I'm really not too much invested in SmackDown right now. And
I'm invested in Jinder Mahal. I'm Team Mahal. I'm just gonna say.
I mean, I kind of am too, but it's going to lead up until the match, so there's really nothing for him to do before then, except he's going to get some wins to make him a viable candidate for the title, to make him look strong and stuff.
I'm gonna be completely. I'm with you, and I'm gonna be completely shocked. This is what will freak me out, is if we go into Backlash and the last thing we see is an RKO on Jinder, because I'm not going to know what to think for that match. You build up Jinder, build up Jinder. He takes an RKO right before going into that's the go home.
Because we all know the person who gets attacked last is the one who wins.
Typically, yeah. So I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be asking the same questions that I did with Becky. Are they really gonna do this? Is this really happening?
Well, that's kind of where wrestling is good right now, is because they are doing things like that. Where, we don't have to go much further than our picks for the last couple of preview shows to say that, like, we're not 100% on the ball anymore. Where in the past we may have missed like one or two per show, just because we went bold, not because WWE got one on us, just because we're going to say it just to say it, kind of thing. Now
I'm going to say it to be different from you, or something like that.
Now we're missing flat out picks, like 100%. We're like 100% one way, and then it still goes the other way. It's like, well, what's happening here? Do we suck? Well, no. Actually, I think they're doing a pretty good job of
they're mixing it up.
Yeah.
Mixing things up. And it's and kudos to them. It's like really the only real, and I don't want to keep making it about this, and so I'm just going to say it, and we can get off of it immediately. The only real trope, the only real sort of sacred cow is what they're doing with Roman. Otherwise, yeah, it's like it could be anybody's night right now. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
It's really interesting to me, though.
What you got?
All right. So how invested I am in the NXT women's division, and how I used to fly to Chicago to watch Shimmer, and I always used to locally WSU, we used to be a women's promotion in the New Jersey area. I used to go to a lot. So I'm very invested in seeing these women graduate over to NXT and stuff like that and wrestle, especially how they brought in so many women, women to the Performance Center, and then seeing them all on TV this week was really cool, all in one match. I hate the idea that they only showed a couple of entrances. I hate the idea that they only featured 6 women on the Battle Royal up next screen. But I really love the idea that everyone was out there and they made it a point to identify them all by a name.
Yeah, I like that too. Like I was actually really surprised that they named everyone, and then I was even more surprised. You've already baited this, so I'm gonna steal it. I was even more surprised that they had changed some people's names for no reason. Like why what the heck? Where did Daria Veronato, wasn't that her name?
Yes, that was her name.
Why is her name different now? That's
Sonya
who
Deville.
Everyone knew her. Yeah, Sonya Deville. What the heck? Like, what's going on? I don't get it.
It is mind-boggling how, and I'm not going to say exposes the business, so to speak, but it's mind-boggling how they put people on TV, and then just like one day they're on TV again, they're just like calling them something different. It's like, well, she had a takeover match. It was her, Billie Kay, and Peyton Royce. I think that was the takeover match. Yeah, it was in Toronto.
It wasn't on Takeover. It was
on the show.
It was on the It was on the show, the outro. I guess
right.
You could say.
It was that night though.
Right. I mean, it was in that ring. Yes.
It was a prominent spot when there weren't that many women in the division other than Asuka, Nikki Cross, and that's really it. Wasn't Toronto? No, Toronto was not the one where they did the triple threat match, right? No, because it definitely was her, because she came out because she was from the 6 or from the 7 or whatever the nickname was for Toronto. Yeah, so I was very, very dumbfounded by that. But before the match even started, the crowd was chanting, "Let's go, Candice." And I'm looking around like, there's no way Candice LeRae is in this match, is she? And I don't see her. And then there's one camera angle where she's like clear, sent right in front. And then Tom Phillips is like, Candice is. I'm like, holy crap. Like, Candice LeRae is already on TV. And for those who don't know, Candice LeRae is the wife of Johnny Gargano. But other than that, she's a pretty established superstar, almost in the men's division because of the company she's wrestled for, PWG and all that. She's the one who wrestles men. And isn't in the women's division most of the time.
Yeah, and wrestles them logically, by the way. Mm-hmm. Like doesn't do a bunch of power spots and crap like that. Like, and
I could be wrong. I think she held a heavyweight championship in one of the promotions.
Maybe,
but I'd have to double check that. And Mary Dobson was there, and a couple others. I don't know who. Oh, well, Andrea was the larger of the women that they made a big deal about. But they changed her name too. I don't know what they changed it to. And one of the girls on the poster for the match, or the promo for the match, was Lacey Evans,
also known as Macy Estrella.
I knew she had a different name, but
which is a freaking great name. I don't get it, and I'm pretty sure that's not. Wait, was that her real name? If that was her, hang on, let me verify. If that was her real name, then okay.
Well, real name or not, why weren't they giving her a different name to go out there the first time? I mean, they made a big entrance for her that day.
Oh, so, that is actually her birth name. So that's why they changed it. But yeah, that's stupid.
Even on the first day before she goes out there, it's not like they put a big production, not big production, but I mean, she had music, she had a dance to go to the ring, the burlesque thing. So it's not like they just grabbed her backstage and going, "You're going in the ring, kid." Like, they knew this was happening. Yeah. Why couldn't you have a name? Right. Daria. Why couldn't you have a name for her? Why does everyone have to debut and then come back as a different name? Jessie McKay or Cassidy or
exactly. Yeah.
Liv Morgan was Diana or Gianna Daddio or something like that. Aaliyah was
something stupid. Yeah.
Everyone has a different name. Nikki Cross was Nikki Cross, but she was Nikki Glenn Cross. I'm sorry.
Right.
But that's her real name, and now it's, and whatever. Ruby Riott and Ember Moon are, I think, the only two that debuted as Ruby Riott and Ember Moon, even though she was, they were Heidi Lovelace and Athena. But
yeah, I'll give them a pass on one name, and that's Rachel Evers now, which that's hilarious, by the way. Do you understand that reference?
I don't think I do.
Yeah, Lance Storm's real name is Lance Evers.
Oh, is it? Okay, I figured it had something to do with Storm, but
yeah, and she's she sees him as her dad away from dad. So it's a very heartfelt call out to Lance Storm, which is cool. But I mean, I'll give her and them a pass on that, because I mean, you've got Paul Ellering on the show as one of the major villains of the show. So,
but don't ever bring her
you can't
out.
have his. Well, okay, fair enough.
Promoting
fair
that
enough.
She's the daughter.
Right, that's true, which they did before he came back. That's exactly what they did. You're right.
Well, well, again, it was before he came back, so who knew that they were going to take that role?
Yeah,
maybe.
that's true.
So
that's true. Yeah,
I don't know.
Good point.
Like I just hate that, but I love the finish.
We'll give them a pass on that. We'll give them a pass on that.
But I gotta tell you, I love the finish of this battle royal where
You like that?
Asuka came out and just beat up everyone and said nobody's ready.
Yeah.
If you're a smart Mark fan, you're speculating, oh, Ember Moon's obviously going to win, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden Asuka comes out and just destroys everybody, and I think actually legitimately hurt Ember Moon, taking that bump to the outside. I think she
that was a nasty looking bump.
She kind of grabbed the rail on her way down. I don't know. I haven't seen anything relating to long-lasting issues with Ember Moon or status or anything. I haven't seen anything that said NXT superstar out 6 to 8 months or anything. We know that a Dash from the Revival is out for a while. I don't know if we ever mentioned that because he broke his jaw. So
because Shinsuke broke his jaw.
Shinsuke is hurting more people than Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I mean he's not Jack Swagger level yet, so that's something.
And but I love that finish. She just destroyed everybody, and then the quick response by Regal with
that was my favorite part of it. That it wasn't like Regal they didn't write Regal as this guy who has to contemplate what to do this time, which they've done in the past, and it's made him look dumb. He was infuriated,
and he
was just like, you're destroying what you worked hard to build up. I don't understand what you're doing right now. I've had enough of you right now. You're just going to fight everyone.
I like how he didn't do it. She's gonna wrestle Ember Moon, and like he's just like all three women in the ring, and he left.
You're gonna fight all of them. You're gonna fight all. Like he was just. I loved it. He was just genuinely. Like he came across as genuinely pissed.
I mean, what would have made it better is if he made it a handicap match instead of a fatal 4-way, where it was Asuka versus the three ladies, and whoever got the winning pinfall over Asuka, if they did, became champion. But like
it's essentially a fatal 4-way,
except you have to legally tag in if you're one of the other girls.
To tag in, so it adds a little bit of a wrinkle.
I mean, listen, that would have been different, but that's picking at that's like grasping for Judy Bagwell on a pole right now. It's just to say, like,
but again, I was glad we were coming to this when I said what I said before. As well orchestrated as the multi-man matches have been in recent months, I'm really excited for this being a multi-person match because it's been done so well and for several months in a row now. So
and the last 4-way was awesome. I'm gonna miss the Billie Kay Peyton Royce dynamic from this match. Yeah, the whole they're a cohesive unit. It's really a triple threat match with two people.
The iconic duo.
And I really wanted them to win the title and share it. Like I would have loved that, but but I missed that part of the match. But at the same time, it's like because of that match and how good it was and how it ended, and Nikki going through the table and then Asuka doing a double suplex on both of them. I'm like, I'm really looking forward to this match. Yeah, for sure. Other things though on NXT as we kind of conclude things here and there. Heavy Machinery called out Authors of Pain, which is. I guess we saw it coming. I thought they were going to play it a little bit longer. I didn't think it was going to be this takeover. They called them out, but we don't necessarily know they have a match because DIY also had the interview afterwards where they say that they're owed the match and stuff like that. And I hard to believe that they're going to do another triple threat match for tag teams with the Fatal 4-Way on the same card. Who knows? But maybe the takeover match is going to be DIY versus Heavy Machinery. Yeah,
I feel like it's a better idea to stall that, but it's Money in the Bank weekend though, isn't it? And that's big.
Backlash.
It's Backlash weekend?
Yeah, it's May, right?
I mean, that's when Takeover is? I thought.
Yeah, it's piggybacking Backlash in May because Money in the Bank is June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but NXT doesn't have pay-per-views that often. They don't have once a month pay-per-views.
Well, I guess they are this time. And maybe that's going to change in the future. No, it's on Backlash weekend. It's May whatever. I mean, we can look it up, but can you hear my typing with the new microphone?
Yeah. Just barely, but yeah, it is no, that's
Backlash is in Chicago, May 21st.
Oh, why did I think
we did this last week or the week before where you looked it up?
I kept getting confused I kept thinking that Money in the Bank was in Chicago. That's what was throwing me off. So I don't know why, but I kept thinking that. So
yeah, you even posted in Discord May 20th takeover, May 21st Backlash.
Yeah, I sure did. You're right. Yeah, you're right. I did.
So I mean, I'm fine with the tag team titles not being on the line there and protecting the authors of pain by not having them do it and having this one tag team, because we've got a big women's match coming up, and we're going to have Bobby Roode versus, I don't know, the winner of whatever we're going to see on TV next week, which is
oh, well, we haven't talked about that. Did you watch that Roderick Strong? Or did you watch?
I was
Roderick
very shocked, but not shocked at the same time that they mentioned the whole Ring of Honor stuff.
But in such a positive, like, significant way, to the point of, that's the pure wrestling show, so on and so forth. It's just like,
yeah,
wow.
I mean, they've done that. They did that on the Punk DVD as well. I mean, they
but that's on a DVD, not on like a weekly show,
Right.
So
well, I mean, it might beg to differ that more people saw that DVD than watch NXT Weekly as well. Who knows? But no, when they got to it, I was kind of shocked, and like the footage that they showed. Of course, they had to show Roderick with all the old WWE superstars, but
yeah, right.
Or not old excuse me, Ring of Honor.
No, I get. Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Yeah,
It's Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, so on and so forth.
And Steen, Owens.
Yep.
So, you know what I want to see out of my NXT is I want to see Kona Reeves get kicked in the face like every 10 minutes. Just because the way he sells it.
Kona Reeves is fantastic. Good. He is so. God, I hope they don't change his name because I like the name. Because it's like it's a play on Keanu Reeves because he kind of looks like him, just bigger and more Hawaiian. But he kind of does have similar facial features to him. But man, the guy at the live show I went to was unbelievably good. And yes, his just the way he sells everything is really it's great. It's great.
Heavy Machinery killed those two kids with that move at the end.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely squashed. It was gregreat. So
it was brutal.
When he picked them both up, I'm like, that's just amazing. What is he gonna do? And then they did the whole I don't even know what you call that, domino splash, where you have just one guy tip the other guy over and they both land on top of him. My God.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy.
And then the last thing to wrap up the weekly TV is, hey, listen, Alicia Fox and Noam Dar are back together. That's what I got from the 205 live results. In fact, Perkins beat Dorado, Gulak beat Ali, and Dar beat Swan. Did we even sniff at all Neville or Aries in this, or is that exclusively on Raw now?
Well, you have Perkins, who's Neville's advocate, so that's.
Were they out there though?
Oh, I don't know. I missed it this week. Okay. I gotta be honest.
In the recap of watching it in the highlight video, it didn't seem to me that Neville accompanied him to the ring, or that.
So we're.
Oh wait, hold on. He attacked A Double to try to remove him from the Cruiserweight Championship conversation. No, I think that was all Raw stuff. Is the beginning part of this the preview of his the results of his match against Dorado.
So the title implications were all done on Raw and just replayed on 205 Live is what you're saying.
I mean, it seems like that basically, and I'm talking out of my butt right now because I didn't watch the show. Maybe
neither one of us watched. Yeah,
and that's maybe a little bit part of the problem. But why would I need to watch the show again if I'm watching the best part main event of the show on my TV every Monday night?
Yep.
I have no reason to follow Austin Aries and Neville as good as their matches have been because I see them on Monday night.
Yep. Yeah, no reason to follow them to their show because they're on the main show, which you're telling me is the main show, and there's no reason to watch their show because they're the title feud, and they're on Raw.
And last, the UK had the WWE UK division is having matches this weekend over in the UK. And I don't know. I don't think it's tapings for the TV show. I think it's just, we haven't done anything in a while. Let's just put on something. Maybe it was scheduled from months back, or maybe it's just something they put leeway. The rumor is, not rumor, the news is the UK show is still going on, but the rumor is nobody knows when or how. Like,
weird.
It's going to happen, but it's just, we don't know how it's going to happen.
It's just superseded the pants right now, is what you're saying?
Well, they had the conference call, the quarter one conference call, and whatever business wise, whatever that's called, yesterday. So the UK, like, that's the thing out of it is the UK thing is coming. It will happen. We don't know how it's going to happen, but it will be a weekly show. But the answer was we're focusing more on the women's tournament that's going to take place at the end of quarter 2 right now. So it may not
Which is fair.
It may not be until September that we see a weekly show from the UK. Which, again, depending on what day of the week it is, it might be too much wrestling for me.
Yep.
I'm already not watching 205 Live and barely watching Ring of Honor, and probably I stopped watching Impact again because I need time to do other things,
Yeah, and you need to actually breathe every now and then. So yeah.
And speaking of other things, Duke, if I may plug this, we are doing a weekly speedrunning tournament. I'm sorry, monthly speedrunning tournament on Twitch every month. We're using the game Roller Games for Nintendo for this month. And
fun.
We have 8 people vying for the top prize, and there'll be a losers bracket where the ultimate loser gets humiliated. We're going to make him stream a game of our choice for an hour. Game he probably won't like, and then a winner gets to pick what game goes on next week. So it's going to be a whole series of, like, we're going to do it in the style of Drew Carey points on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh no!
Yeah, where the points really don't matter, but we'll have a winner and we'll have a loser. And really,
that's brutal.
Yeah, it's good. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's good. Check out twitch.tv/AngryLarry, and there's a bot that says information all the time, or you can catch me when I stream and ask about it and stuff like that. So it'll be cool. It's gonna be a good time.
That's great. That's gonna be so fun.
It's called the Super Happy Invitational Tournament.
Yes,
and you can
Super Happy Invitational Tournament, kind of like superhero in training, is what you're getting at.
Yes, except it's tournament. SHI tournament.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not an acronym.
Gotcha.
But in traditional Angry Larry fashion, I am calling it something different every time I address it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I'm done.
Terabyte,
you can wrap this up at anytime.
Oh, I can kill it?
Yeah, no, listen.
So we stop just rolling.
How's the mic?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He's the Larry. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.